Hey, buenos dias. My name is Randall Parks with the Morning Stoke, and today I've got Jake Thomas on. We're just going to have a little conversation. What's up, Jake?
What's going on, Randall? Good morning. Thanks for having me today.
Man, it looks like it's a beautiful day there in New York City, man.
It's not bad. We've got pretty good viz. I'd say about 10 miles, clear skies, a few clouds, but it's a good day to be up high, that's for sure.
Yeah, how you been, man?
Great. We've been having teasers of winter weather coming in here and there, and it'll drop into the 30s in the morning, and then we had, mid 60s yesterday. So I don't know if we're prepping for a big cold one in the next few months, or we're just getting these last bits of summer. But life's good, work's good, no complaints, smile on my face.
Yeah, that's great, dude. I'd like to say that winter's coming here, but I was just surfing yesterday down in Lucadia. It was awesome. Only it's like 75 plus or minus 10 all year round around here, so it's going pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard. Rub it in, rub it in.
So for the larger audience, I met Jake at USC in my master's class. Jake served in the Marine Corps as an infantryman. Did his 4 years. Got out. Did a bunch of various different things, from being a bartender to working in the oil industry to being a fitness model. But yeah, Jake, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and so the audience can kind of get an idea of what your background is.
Sure. Yeah, served the Marine Corps 2003 to 2007. So it was a great time to be a Marine.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot of tempo, a lot of fun. uh, had a good time for sure. Met great people. Went to a lot of good places. Not for vacation, of course, but nonetheless left with smiles. Got to do a great UDP to Okinawa with the 31st MEU and go look for some Abu Sayyaf terrorist cells in the jungles of the Philippines. And man, I'd rather be in the desert than the jungle anytime. as far as in picking a fight, I remember going on our first patrol and laughing with my squad leader and platoon commander, just being like, if anybody ambushes us right now, we're all going to get waxed. You guys realize that, right? And they're kind of looked at me like, it's not the best thing to say, kind of looks in
yeah,
the faces. I'm just thinking, we all have NVGs and all the stuff on it pitch black, triple canopy. I'm like, seriously, like if anybody jumps us right now, we're screwed. this is this is ridiculous. It's like put me back in the sand, though that sucks too. But
yeah,
anyway, just funny perspective, right? And something about humility and understanding a combative force that the generations before us dealt with and the jungles that they fought in, and just made me
yeah,
realize like, man, this sucks.
yeah,
But again, with a good smile and the smiles you see on the people's faces that you do impact and improve their lives, maybe even it's not necessarily what you want to be doing. That kind of really hit home for me, especially kids out there.
yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, did my 4 years. I was looking to maybe stay in a little bit longer, but had some things civilian side romantically that were keeping my interest elsewhere.
It gets us all,
Uh,
man.
guess
Of
is all. I'm not in that relationship anymore, of course, but
course.
at the time that was definitely taking my interest over going back and getting in further mud.
Yeah.
But yeah, got
Yeah.
out.
So you kind of
Went,
bounced around, right? After you got out and did a bunch of different things.
yeah, got out and immediately went back to school, thinking like, all right, need to get out, let's get that degree, that diploma that the world says you need. And it was really just kind of the path of least resistance for me as far as into a program. And I was like, history, sure. That's just like, storytelling. And I guess that'll work for me. And it's not something I was dying to study, but something that I just, like I said, saw as path of least resistance. But my interest really wasn't there in school. I was very detached mentally and emotionally, felt a little lost and distant from people and missing, you know, what we have there, especially in operation or on deployment or in the field. I mean, just especially within the infantry. units and
Yeah.
in the fleet. You know, you really get used to that, being the dog on call all the time. And even though you might get or not get taken care of the best, you learn to love that. And that camaraderie and brotherhood is something that is really, really hard to find again, depending on where you're living, what you're working in. And for me, I really realized like, oof, this is fish out of water for me, being back in, you know, an undergraduate program amidst
Yeah.
people a few years younger than me, most of them, and certainly in a different headspace.
Yeah.
I ended up finding my way to a bar that was hiring at the time. And boy, was that the perfect / worst case scenario, you know, because sure, there was that teamsmanship that I connected back with, you know, in a close unit of guys working together. Granted, it was under different circumstances and
Sure.
environment, but it was, you know, a connection of brotherhood that I was able to make again with those guys. And I love them
Yeah.
all dearly for it. Obviously dealing with alcohol is a little bit of an asterisk, because it was something that I felt I did need at the time, and something that a lot of us, you know, unfortunately seek out to try to help cope with, you know, readjusting to life and confusion and all that. And that definitely, it helped me, you know, whether
Yeah.
that was for better or for worse. It was something that was reactionary and, you know, just came to be for years.
Well,
But
yeah,
from there,
and you're one of, you know, 250,000 veterans that transition out every year. And I feel like a lot of guys and gals go through the same kind of struggles. So yeah, talk to me about your you know, your time as a fitness model, man.
oh, that was cool. Years after all this, I kind of, you know, got away from that side of me and found these new channels of letting things out and purging, right,
Yeah.
and rehabilitating myself. And a lot of it was with my mind and with my body. And one day I was working out at a gym here in New York, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey man, you should try to, you know, be a fitness model or whatever." And I was like, "I don't know anybody to do that. Like, I don't know how that starts." Or, you know, he's like, "Well, I have an agent, you know, I'll send you a picture or send you your picture to him right now." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, dude, get the fuck out of here." And he's like, "I swear, like, check it out." And so they took a picture of me right there. And the guy was like, "Man, bring that guy in here right away." And, you know, went to the office, had the interview, came back the next day for like the formal contract signing and all that. And I was like, wow, this is how it happens. Okay. And
Yeah.
did that for a few years. Yeah, I was on some fitness video series, stuff you can still find online, and sometimes in a random hotel room
Oh,
streaming.
I'll definitely check it out. I mean, you are by far one of the best looking men I've ever
Well, I'm looking in a mirror. I mean, look at that coif, man. You are really loving this post retirement hair, like
Oh
killing
yeah,
it.
dude. Oh
Love
yeah.
that. Love that. Yeah, this is the new camouflage. You know, you got to blend in with the civilians. But yeah,
Absolutely.
the a couple of years ago, I was with my mother at a hotel here in New York and flipping channels, and one of the videos was on, and I was like through the wall. It's like, "Mom, turn it on channel, you know, 55 or whatever." And she puts it on. She's like, "Oh my God," like screaming, like, you know, it's so funny. So yeah, good time, good people again, you know, just finding another mountain, right? Another interest,
Yeah.
another way to like invest myself. And like I said, it was really for me a channel to purge, right? To let
Yeah.
this, whatever that confusion or disappointment or anger even,
Yeah.
just a way to let that out and find, you know, new horizons, new things to commit myself to. And then this time it is for the betterment of my health. It was for the betterment of my mind, you know, like, especially working in that industry, I had to be healthy, right? For the
Yeah.
most part, I had to look, at least look healthy. And to do that, there are steps to be followed with nutrition and exercise. And then, you know, from that really started to focus on my mental health, my spiritual health, my emotional health. And the better those got, the better I looked, right?
Yeah.
I'd looked great at times, but I wasn't right here or I wasn't right here.
Yeah.
And I could see pictures and be like, yeah, I might have looked awesome in that photo, but like
But you knew what
I
you were
wasn't happy.
feeling at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't happy, you know, as opposed to like feeling good here, and everything in between, and being like zing, and it's like, wow, that's the gold ticket right there, you know.
That's awesome, man. And now I know you work for Cooper and Cooper. there in New York City, doing real estate, been very successful, and still pursuing more success, which I truly appreciate, man. And I try and keep my circle kind of small, and I'm just really proud to say that you're one of those guys that are in my circle for sure.
Oh,
likewise.
Likewise.
Yeah, tell me kind of what you've been doing lately there in New York.
I mean, this is it right here. Here we are. This is the new AO, and I love, you and I and a few of the other fellas have, coast to coast. I think we got it locked down pretty well. We got the western and eastern fronts defended. But it's so cool, man. Had an interview with a magazine the other day, and they're asking about like why real estate and this and that, and same thing. I recently got promoted at work, which is really cool and a surprise.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I started laughing at the beginning of the promotion. I was like, well, I'm glad I'm at the meeting today, because I didn't know I was getting promoted. That would have been not cool to not be there for your own promotion ceremony. Yeah. But started to say right away, like I joined this firm, stayed with this firm because of the people, because of the family we have here, the cohesiveness we have here, because it's something that I very much recognize as from time in the Corps. 100%. We're about 60 total people under house here, so we're small but mighty, we say, right? Like a boutique firm. And everybody's got to perform. If one person's in deficit, like we can kind of all feel that, because everybody's expected to earn and contribute. But it's just a different breed of people here, for sure. And that's really what drove me to want to be there with them. They're really big on honesty, integrity, and exceptional service. So their 3 pillars or their core values. And I was like, well, that sounds very familiar to 3 other core values I'm pretty good with: and honor, courage, and commitment. So between the leadership structure, the way they are from the top down, how they are with each other, all that to me is more important than the work outside, right? Like real estate, 100%. Like I said, the promotion ceremony is the vessel. Do I work here with these people in this industry because I love real estate and whatnot? I said, no, that just happens to be our means, right? That just happens to be our vessel. But it's because I love working with the people that I'm with. I love providing service, right? That I do. I love knowing that people can count on me, rely on me, trust in me, confide in me, and for me to be able to be dependent on and give and do and provide for them, right? With surety and with confidence and with the utmost care, amidst an industry that is plagued with not that, right? Like, so for the generations of horror stories that people have of scumbag, liar, cheater, sleazeball, used car salesman, like it's all true. It's totally true. And so
real estate definitely has that stigma about it. Which, has, to be honest, has kind of provided us, a competitive advantage for us to kind of beat the competition out, because we come to the table with those things. We legitimately care about, our clients and our community. And I know you do too out there, having read some of your client reviews. So I feel like you bring, the things that you learned in the military and in the Marine Corps, the concepts of, the honor, the courage and the commitment, and you transitioned that into your community, which just happens to be New York City behind you. And that kind of segues me into the point of this video today. Was an article that I read by Dan Sheehan. He wrote it through Task and Purpose.
About getting your V or whatever, right?
Yeah. And the title of the article is that not all veterans are created equal. You have to earn your V, earn that V as a veteran every day. And I was actually turned on to it by a buddy of mine, Andre Bozier, who is the team manager for the San Diego Legion, which is a professional rugby team. So I immediately read it after he told me about it, and it really resonated with me. And basically the premise of the article, which I'll post in the comments, is that your service doesn't just stop the day you pick up your DD 214. It begins a new chapter of service, and it starts with, yourself, earning your V with yourself every day, earning the V with your family and your community at large. I think there's a lot of turmoil, in America nowadays, and I feel like America, she needs her veterans to continue to serve outside of uniform. So yeah, I sent the article over to you. I know you kind of have a thing too, like every day is number one is your kind of thing. But yeah, I'd just like to get your thoughts on the article and what you kind of thought.
Yeah, it was a good read. The story about the lady in the article, separating. She's a Marine, Huey. I think she's a Huey door gunner, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Beast. Provide and cover fire and close air support during the March 2003, during the march to Baghdad and everything. Like, that's awesome. And then raising kids, being a wife, successful family, successful at work. What else you can do for a community? Now she's at like the VFW. Like, I think a lot of that comes from time and service, right? Because when I got out, I was like, now what? Like you get, it's all that hype of like, oh my God, I'm PCSing. I have this convalescent leave, whatever leave, time before, check out, taps, here's my paper, and then choom, and like throwing my boots over the wire and Christianitos Road, and then I'm like, I step out, and I'm on the I-5, and I'm like, now what? I'm in the middle of Southern California. I don't have a car, and it was. I don't know what it's like to be getting out of prison, but like I felt very just, wow, now what? Because we're so in there, everything is planned for you. Every day you've got, for the most part, a who, what, where, why, when, and how, and all that, and a timeline and adherence and a rank structure and hierarchy. And as much as it can be difficult, you still have so much given to you as far as in construct and planning, right? And then once you're out, it's like, ooh, it's wide open, like life. And so for me, those first few years, I was just all over the place, right? Mentally and emotionally and everywhere else, trying to get my feet back under me and try to reconnect with, maybe who I was in the past and melding with who I'd become through time and service. And then once I started to kind of pick up a little steam of like, okay, like interest into this field or, this topic or something like that, it became really just focus, like where to shift and apply focus. And that's kind of just finding your new fight, right? Finding a new fight, right?
And I feel like you did that. You did that like with yourself and the people around you, and that's why I really wanted you to come on today to kind of talk about how and I know we've had these conversations before, but how you got to get yourself right before you can get other people right.
Like on the plane, right? We've all flown enough times, and you always hear that safety brief of, put your mask on first before offering assistance. It's right there for a reason. Like, you're a father with kids, right? Like, imagine having to, God forbid that happens, and it's like, all right, you got to trust daddy on this one for 2 seconds. He's going to put his on first, and then he's going to take care of and save the world. Right. Yeah. Because if you don't do that and you risk putting your selflessness and your unselfishness on the line first in the interests of your children, your family, as any person likely would, it's like, no, you're a greater threat to them as a liability or a hindrance as opposed to do this. And then go for it. Right. So, whether it's how we take care of our minds, our bodies, our livelihood, our professional aspirations, how we are and intrapersonal relationships with friends and peers and loved ones, it all starts with us inside, right? Like who we are and our happiness and satisfaction with ourselves. And that's what I kind of learned that a lot in the fitness world, because there were times when I was like smiling and I looked great, right? Man, you looked awesome in that photo, or even in competition, I won this trophy, or I'd won, you know, world championship and this, that, like, but I was like, man, I was so miserable on stage. Like that's a micro snapshot of all this work, but it was bullshit, you know, because I wasn't happy. I didn't feel well. I wasn't eating right. Like all these things that just weren't true. They were a facade. And then once I started to really focus on like, okay, the greater I can be, cleaner between the ears, brighter, shining internally, the greater that's going to affect other things around me. Right. So as opposed to starting superficially and thinking like, you know, let me just grip it and rip it and pick it up and like go. It's like, no, like now I'm doing like this, you know, more of a Bruce Lee, like start from here and exude outward. Right. So like in the gym, you know, back in the day, come in from a field op and just drop my blouse and my pack and just go right to the gym, boots and utes, you know, just be like, I need to just jack some steel, like just go grab some weights and just start throwing them around. Never thinking about my breath, never thinking about my mind and body connection or my own proprioception, none of these things. And now it's like, I'll do a breathe up before I even begin a workout, right? To really get focused and become present with what I'm doing. And like, you know, some people are like, that's stupid. What are you doing? Da, da, da. But it's to start from within and then exude outward. Right. So every day I say is day one, because it's a chance for a new opportunity, to reassess, maybe try again. Right. Or explore something completely different, or just to begin whatever it might be, whether it's a challenge, you know, a hardship even faced, or you know, an interest or anything, right? Every day is a chance to restart, to be better, to fail again and again and again and again.
Yeah. And, you know, I appreciate that you said that, you know, that you're going to fail. And in my opinion, I think you learn a lot more from failure than you do success. And I think that's important for veterans to realize as they transition out. And another thing I think it's important for veterans to realize is that, you know, especially for us as Marines, you know, we kind of live under this guise of, you know, people wonder if they made a difference in this world. Marines don't have that problem. That kind of gives you that sense of purpose while you're in service. And I think you need to, in order to fully transition out and acclimatize, if you will, to the civilian world, you need to continue that purpose in your local community, in your family, in yourself. You know, take up an issue that you're passionate about. Don't just, you know, parrot other people's opinions on social media nonstop. You know, there's this kind of like, there's this kind of like feel that like a lot of our generation of veterans have. They get out and they have this like zero fucks given mentality. And that's not helpful. Like that's not going to make you progress. That's not going to, you know, have civilians kind of turn towards you for that leadership that you have. And he said that in this article too. Yeah, he said that in that article too. And I think it needed to be said. You know, how can you make yourself, your family, and your community better? You know, there's all kinds of issues going on in your local community that you can take the lead on. And I think it's really important that our generation of veterans do that. Every generation, you know, that's come before us, you know, the World War II generation, half of those guys came back and started their own business. Whereas now only 5% of Iraq and Afghanistan vets open their own business. You know, so what else are we doing with the skills and the integrity and culture that we inherited by our military service? You know, how are we coming back and being better citizens coming out of the military than when we went in? So that's really what I got out of the article. I really appreciated Dan for writing that and sharing that with the world. I think it's something that veterans need to hear. And, you know, I think veterans also need to hear that nobody owes you anything. Like there's a lot of veterans that are walking around like, thank you for my service. Like what? Like, no, dude, you volunteered. Like I was going to thank you for your service, and you shouldn't expect people to thank you. Like you volunteered.
I think I told you this before. It took me a long time to come to terms with people not liking us or the
Yeah.
mission or the cause, whatever, you know. And yeah, a long time. And
Yeah.
eventually I came to the point where I said, you know what? We go do what we do so that a person can walk up to you and spit in your face, tell you how they feel in with a lot of bad words, and walk away, and you just basically have to kind of say, okay. Now, that's a lot easier said, right, than done on both sides, and the repercussions of that situation, you know, facing that kind of music, it's
Probably
probably
not be
not
good.
advised, right? But it's like that's what it's about, you know.
Yeah.
It's just about freedom. It's about unbiased, unconditional freedom.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a different world that we live in now. But you know, we can extend the fight, right? Like, you know, Marines are always looking for a fight. We're always looking for somebody to chew on, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you still got more fight left in you. Good. Be a better father. You still got more fight left in you. Good. Be a better husband. You still got more
Yeah.
fight left in you. Good. Be a better colleague. Be a better peer. Be a better this. Like, you know, the outlets and channels out there are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
We can complain certainly till the cows come home, and that's going to do a whole lot of nada, right?
The Marines complain with
But
the best of them.
yeah, I mean, like we're professionals at that, you know, doctorates in custodial arts, and you know, wine and
Masters
griping
of complaining.
for sure. So just finding that new fight, that's what I think really that every day is day one is about, is like extending the battlefield from where it was to now where we are, right? So like this is,
Yeah.
like I said, this is my area of operation now, and I'm fortunate to be able to say, yeah, this is the room from which I do my 5 paragraph order, and you know, get my situation, mission, execution, admin and logistics, command and signal, and then run it, right?
Yeah.
And so taking things that I learned then and applying them to now, I hope that my colleagues benefit from that, maybe from the energy, or from the go-getterness, assertive, you know, whatever they might
Yeah.
take from it in a positive light. Awesome. Am I getting up every morning and thinking like, man, I hope I changed somebody's life by the way, you know, I put my shirt on, or by because I get there on time, or I'm a little more efficient here? No, but maybe there's an indirect benefit of someone else that goes, oh, cool. Like if he's doing it, or like, oh, cool. These guys and gals seem to have a little bit more, you know, panache about them,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. A little
situation. Like,
leadership by example goes a long way, you know?
right. So like maybe it's not as direct as like, hey, I signed up for this club and I do this, you know, XYZ and da, da, da. Like your influence and your impact starts again, right? The closest of circles are families, and resonates out from there. Right. So like,
Yeah.
sure enough, you know, you being back home and spending more time with your kids and with Heather, like that's how great they're already benefiting from that. You know,
Yeah.
like how much the the kids are like, man, dad's back, like young and happy
Yeah.
and smiling.
Yeah.
You know
And,
what I
you know,
mean?
and
Like that's
it didn't really hit me until like a week ago. I took off for a couple of days out to Texas to go on a hunting trip with Eric and Eric. And dude, my daughter was in tears the night before I flew out. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm only leaving for a couple of days. But I guess that tells me that, you know, I've made enough impact on them in the short period of time that I have been out, and I've had the time to like dedicate to my daughter and my son, that it's made that much of an impact. And that really hit home for me, as well as like, you know, just reading this article. Like, so, you know, what I really kind of want people to take away from this little video podcast is, you know, when you wake up in the morning, the first question you should ask yourself is, am I earning my V every day? Am I earning my V with myself? Am I earning my V with my family? Am I earning my V with my business? And I think if you look in the mirror and the answer is no, then today's day number one, man. Just like you say, it's day number one. Start over, you know, hit the reset button, and then just continue going from there. And ask yourself, you know, what can you do for yourself, for your family, and your community? And I think you'll have that fulfillment and that purpose that you had while you were in the military in the civilian world, and people will appreciate it. They will. So yeah, man. Thank you so much, dude, for coming on and spending your time. We're right at 30 minutes. I know you're a busy guy. But dude, I truly appreciate it. The feedback I've been getting from people that listen to these is really positive, and they appreciate the things that we talk about. So yeah, man, thank you.
Anything for the community, man. You know, we're a tight knit group, even though we're getting bigger by the day. You know, that transcends so much, and anything I can do to give back is a good thing.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching the next episode of the Morning Stoke. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, listen to it on the way or the way home from work or the way to work. And I appreciate everything. And I'll see you in the lineup. Bye con Dios.